You know that feeling, that deep, nagging sense that there has to be something more to life? Well, it turns out that's a pretty universal human experience, this constant search for meaning, for truth, for happiness. Today, we're going to dive into a source that argues this very quest is the central story of all of us. This line from St. Augustine really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. The whole idea we're exploring is built around this concept of a restless heart, this feeling that there's a kind of ache inside us, a desire for something ultimate that just never seems to go away. So what is this restlessness that we all seem to feel? And where is it supposed to be leading us? Well, according to the text, it's not random at all. It's kind of like we have a built-in compass, and it's pointing us towards something very specific. So let's follow that compass and see where it takes us. Okay, so here's the core premise. This deep desire isn't just some random feeling or a psychological quirk. The source describes it as a kind of spiritual homing signal. The argument is that we are created by something greater and for something greater, and this longing is like a constant call, pulling us back to where we came from. And believe me, this isn't some new idea. The source points out that if you look across all of history, in every single culture, you see this search everywhere. It's in prayers, sacrifices, rituals, meditations, you name it. The expressions might look different on the surface, but they all spring from the very same root, a universal quest to connect with the divine. So if this deep desire is the question, then what's the answer? According to our source, the response is faith, but it's not defined as just taking a blind leap in the dark. Instead, it's presented as an answer to a call, a way of actively engaging with a reality that's already revealing itself, one that offers a light for that deep search we all feel. Okay, that's a fair question, right? If this desire is so real, where's the evidence? Well, the source suggests that there are clues all around us and, just as importantly, inside of us. It actually lays out two main paths of discovery. Let's check them out. The first path tells us to look outward. It suggests we can find hints of a creator just by observing the world around us. Now, the source doesn't frame these as hard scientific proofs, but more like converging and convincing arguments that when you put them all together, start to build a really compelling case. And the arguments here are pretty fascinating. First, there's the whole idea of motion. I mean, think about it like dominoes. Things don't just start moving on their own. Something has to be the first mover. Then there's the fact that things exist at all. Everything in the world could have not existed, which points to some original source that had to exist. And finally, the source points to the incredible order and beauty we see, from a massive spiral galaxy down to a tiny seashell, as a pretty big hint of an intelligent, beautiful creator. But it's not all about looking up at the stars. The second path turns inward. The source suggests that if we just stop for a second and look inside ourselves, we find a totally different set of clues that are every bit as powerful. Just think about it for a second. Why does a beautiful sunset or an amazing piece of music move you so deeply? Where does that sense of right and wrong, that little voice we call a conscience, actually come from? The source argues that these things, plus our desire for truth and a happiness that nothing in this world ever seems to fully satisfy, are like whispers of a spiritual reality. It even calls this a seed of eternity planted inside us, something that can't really be explained by just purely physical stuff. And here is where it all comes together. You see, the world around us points backward, right, to a beginning, a first cause. But our inner world, our heart, it points forward to a final destination, an ultimate happiness. And the conclusion from the source is that both of these paths are actually leading to the very same place. Okay, but this brings up a huge question, doesn't it? If these signs are everywhere, both outside us and inside us, why is the search so hard for so many people? The source doesn't shy away from this at all. It tackles it head on, acknowledging that, yeah, the path is often filled with obstacles. So while the source says that reason can get us there, it also says, hey, it's not always a walk in the park. There are plenty of real-world challenges that can seriously cloud our vision and make the whole search feel pretty much impossible. The source lists a bunch of common roadblocks. Some are external, like the really tough problem of evil in the world, or just being so caught up in daily life that we don't have time to look up. Others are cultural, like intellectual trends that are hostile to religion, or even the bad examples set by believers themselves. And yeah, some of the biggest obstacles are internal. Our own desires can easily lead us astray. And all of this leads to the source's next crucial point. So, step one, our own minds, our own reason can get us started on the path. Step 2, but like we just saw, there's all this stuff that gets in the way and makes the journey incredibly hard. Which leads to step 3. This is where the concept of divine revelation comes in. The idea that God actively reaches out to us to provide a clearer map for those of us who are struggling to find the way. This brings us to a final and honestly pretty humbling point. Even with all these clues and a helping hand, the source really emphasizes the profound mystery at the heart of this search. How can we, as finite beings, even begin to talk about an infinite reality? I mean, think about it. All of our language is born from our experience of the created world. We can use words like good or love or powerful to point towards God, but those are just reflections, right? The source is crystal clear on this. Our words are like signposts, not containers. They can show us the way, but they can never fully capture the destination itself. This quote from the text just nails it. It's a reminder that no matter how much we think we understand, the reality we're talking about is always infinitely greater than our idea of it. There's a gap there that our minds just can't bridge on their own. And so we kind of end up right back where we started, with that restless heart. So regardless of where you land on these arguments, the source leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. If this deep, unquenchable search for meaning is literally woven into our very being, what does the search itself tell us about who we are and what we're ultimately looking for?